Like you say, your career spans over 20 years now. You have a hit with Badaboum, and then obviously 20 years ago the album was your debut album was quite successful. So what does that tell you about the music and the way you?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, the luck we have, I guess, is that we're always like, you know, stay like in we stay kind of like close enough to what's happening, but at the same time we're stubborn enough to do something that is far enough of what is cool. We're always like, you know, at some point we just kind of always stay kind of on this line between left of center and right of center, and what is really like in and what's out, and we mix these ingredients that actually don't belong together, being in and out together in such a way. Like Badaboum is like a strange mix between a disco track and a soundtrack of a Hitchcock movie. It's like really weird, but for some kind of reason, you know, you put Roquefort and chocolate together and it works, you know. Who would ever think that it would work, you know? Well, that's what we already for 20 years do. We take ingredients that you normally shouldn't mix, should never combine, but we do. We have the guts to do it and create something special. And I think people really like that kind of special flavor. In the States as well, you know, like I still remember when Tuwiki came out, you know, in Belgium there were a lot of journalists who said like, yeah, but it's like, you know, it's a copy of Portishead or whatever. And then, you know, like now 20 years later, you know, like I read an interview of somebody saying, like an English person saying like, no, it was so, for us English, it was so exotic what they made, because it was so not British. It was so continental, you know. Of course, Belgians don't hear that because they're Belgian themselves. But for an English or an American guy, it had like this exotic flavor, and I think our music still does. You know, the reason why our Badaboum is going to be used in a huge American campaign is because it's an exotic flavor, and I think, you know, we always understood that. Like, don't try to copy what an American or an English guy can do, because they do it better anyway. What are we? Who are we? We're Belgians, and Belgians are like a strange mix of Germanic culture and a Latin culture. We have like a really weird mix in our culture, and we try to put that strange mix in our music, and that makes our music special, I think.
And well, I saw on Facebook you post Spotify playlists. So how important is it to keep up with kind of the music that's out there and
Oh, I'm just like so fond of music. I listen to music all the time, and of course I can't listen enough because I'm working in a studio, so you can't listen to the radio while you're in. But still, you know, in the morning I listen to music. When I'm cooking, I'm listening to music. When we're on the road, I listen to music, and I'm just like, you know, always looking for that one band, you know, like that kind of does it for me. And some years you find a lot of bands. Sometimes it's really hard to find stuff that you like, but it's just a big treasure hunt for me, and I like it. And then of course we like to share all these things that we find. I like to share that with the fans, and the lists are maybe not obvious, because people who know our music and listen to the lists can think like, whoa, this is really different from what. But we're like eclectic people. We like to all kinds of music. So we make kind of lists that are a bit floaty, or a list that's a bit melancholic, or we make a list that's retro chic. And it's just fun to share music that's not played on the radio, but that should be played on the radio. So we're just recently started with these lists, and we really want to create our own platform to share music with people that you can't hear on the radio. Because, you know, like, to be honest, Spotify and Deezer are big platforms. There's 3 million tracks on there, but often you hear just like 1%, and the rest is just there to be there. So being already in, you know, like listening to music already for so long, we can say to people, well, if you like, for instance, let's say Jamie Woon, well, maybe you should check out that Kid Logo track from 90 whatever. Right. Or if you like Dive, you know, like the guitar, like indie guitar band, maybe you should check out Slow Dive from end of 80s, you know, like, and we make lists with a mix. So like the retro chic list is things of like today and old stuff, but everything that is like retro inspired. So the Alalas are in that list.
Okay.
But at the same time, there is also like the Third Bardot, which is an actual 60s band.
Okay.
So the retro futurism is always there, you know. Yeah. It's not only retro, but it's everything with a retro feel that we put in the list. And it's just fun to share music. I like to listen to playlists of other people as well. Or, you know, like when Anja Zobel makes a playlist, it's fun to listen. And then you think like, oh, this is a cool track. I never heard it. So, yeah, we're addicted to music. That's basically what it is.
Okay. Finally, because I don't think I have a lot of time left, the album is called In Wonderland.
Yeah.
When did the title pop up?
Well, basically, the title track In Wonderland was written with I wrote it with Janie Price, you know, like and we were listening to the track, and well, it's a beautiful track. It's like one of our favorite tracks. But also, it made us think like, aren't we already for 20 years in Wonderland? You know, like we're kind of like doing every day what we love to do. We always get into situations that are a little surreal. You know, like we end up in places where nobody else ends up. So our life is like a kind of wonderland, you know, already for 20 years. So that's where the title comes from. We're like two kids in a candy store, and we're still very fond of candy. And that's no drugs, okay?
we are the only two ones of the band originally that made it to Wonderland.
Okay, very last question, because well, on this album you have both male singers, female singers. How do you see the future? Because I saw a clip where you did a song with Geike again this year.
Yeah.
So is there a chance that she might do some more work with you, or are you looking to do more work with different artists?
For now, we really love the formula like we're doing. But then again, never say never. You know, like we don't know what the future brings, and that's what we think is so cool about our job. We always know where we start. We never know where we end. So, for instance, you know, like maybe this is gonna be a huge hit. You know, like, and then we think like, okay, let's continue for a couple of years. But then, you know, in 5 years maybe you run into somebody that is just amazing, and you think like, whoa, this is like such an inspiration. We want to make a whole album with this voice. Could be, you know, or maybe, you know, like. But we always like to go ahead, you know.
Sure.
So going back to a former singer, it's not likely to happen. No. But hey, never say never.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.